Welcome to Empowered by Iron, the podcast for female strength athletes by female strength athletes. We are your hosts, Dr. Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fuel Nutrition Coaching and Dr. Mary Morton, scientist and weightlifter. Together, we are Empowered by Iron. Hello, ladies. Welcome to Empowered by Iron. This week, we have one of the strongest ladies we've probably ever had on, one of the strongest. She just swept gold at Pan Am's. She's been killing it the last 2 years in Olympic weightlifting. We have the Alyssa Ritchey on the podcast today. Hi, Alyssa.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Oh, man, we are so good. We are so excited to have you on. I was just listening to your bodybuilding.com podcast, and I think that you're going to do so much in this sport and for athletes just beyond weightlifting. I think you have so much to share, and we're so excited to have you on to talk with our ladies, share your story a little bit, and then kind of discuss the nitty-gritties of being an athlete.
Absolutely. Yeah. The bodybuilding.com podcast was awesome. It was so fun. It was just kind of like deeper than I could have ever imagined.
It was so good. If you listening haven't heard it, go listen to the bodybuilding.com podcast with Alyssa. It was really good. And you mentioned 4-H, and I used to show pygmy goats. So
awesome. Well, you know what? You're born and raised on a farm, you know.
You got to do what you got to do. But then when you talked about, and we'll get into this, but you did a bodybuilding show and you said you didn't really like the feeling of being judged, which if some people love that, that's great. But all I could think of was a stock show, like a steer show. I was like, that's what I thought. Like, you're being judged like a steer.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. If you have any type of like, I don't know, if the judges just don't like you just a tiny bit, or if they know somebody just more than they know you, they're just so biased in those competitions. And I feel like they're always, everyone's ideal body is completely different of what they want. Some people want like longer legs. Some people want like shredded abs. Some people want shredded arms. Like, it just depends on like what you want. So the judges are basing it off their opinion.
Yeah. I feel like it's really subjective. Whereas Olympic weightlifting is like, you either lifted it or you didn't.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, and you don't have to look cute when you're up there. You can look like a rag.
But a rag that can lift heavy.
A rag that matters. Heavy. Because we all know after that brutal weight cut, I ain't looking pretty. I had to filter the crap out of my YouTube video that I just made for that.
Oh, I saw part of that and I was like, I feel like I need to sit down for this one and just take it in. This isn't a casual watch.
Yeah, the spitting was like some of the things that Max said. Max is my coach. Some of the things he said in the video, I was dying, but I couldn't put him in there because I was like, girls are going to take that the wrong way. So I like tried to put in some stuff that was like funny to me and Max, but like probably not funny to people, but whatever. You got to that's why I said viewers discretion advised, because it's not for everybody. And it's definitely not a thing you want to put your body through unless you're making international teams or trying out for the Olympics.
Listen, we preach that all the time. And I guess we're just going to jump right into it. We have a lot of women who come to us saying that they want to go to their first meet or whatever, and they want to cut 5 kilos. And we're like, why the hell are you doing that? You need to eat to get strong. You need to just lift where you're at. That's where you're going to have the most optimal performance, especially when you're just beginning. But someone like you, so you said obviously making international teams and whatnot. What is the decision like to be either, a 49 or what's the next one up, 55 now?
Yeah, 55.
It's quite the jump.
Yeah, it was quite the jump. The problem is they announced that we were going to be changing body weight classes in the middle of the quad.
Yeah,
and the quad is the 4 years to leading up to the Olympics. So 2 years out, which is when all of the hard international qualifying meets start for the Olympics, like we were all like, well, what do? We either decide we're going to cut, we're going to gain, and we don't have time to experiment. Like, we don't have a year to try to experiment at 55, and we don't have a year to try to experiment at 49. Obviously, we were hoping for a 50 kilo weight class because that would have been just baller, but it just didn't happen. The biggest part was, for me, the deciding factor was like, Piros Dimas said it. He's one of the Team USA coaches. He said, if you can't lift over, I want to say basically like, I want to say 20 kilos. It's something like obscene. 20 kilos over what you're totaling now as a 49. If you can't hit 210 as a 55, which is pretty much in the range, because I know Jordan De La Cruz is hitting like 207.
Yeah.
Then you couldn't move up a weight class. And because you're just but that's like for somebody high level, right? That's not for somebody like, you can't compare those numbers to somebody that's like just beginning. A beginner should never cut weight. Never, ever cut weight. I was not a beginner when I started the sport. I had freaking 10 plus years, I had about like 15 years of athletics in me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because just like you said, you've experienced a lot. So even though you've only been Olympic weightlifting seriously for 2 plus years, you know, you've had the experience of an athlete. So where did you start? Where was your athletic career? Where was the beginning? And how did you get to now?
I was a little girl and I remember like loving horses a lot. Like I loved horses so much. I was like obsessed. And then also another side of me was like obsessed with gymnastics. That was just because I liked it. Nobody pushed me to liking that. And then all of a sudden, one year I was just begging my mom and dad to put me in gymnastics or to buy me a horse, whatever. And my parents like let me pick my ultimatum. They said either horse or gymnastics. And I was like, gymnastics.
They were going to get you a horse? Good pick.
Yeah, because I mean, we were going to live on a farm anyway.
Right.
Transition from, we were living in Delta, Ohio for a little while. And then we were going to go live in Wauseon. So it was like a little small rural town. But yeah, like I got the choice of going to be a gymnast and I started gymnastics. And that's kind of how everything, I don't know. I was a driven kid. Like I was not like your normal kid. I would like, instead of waiting in line when we were doing floor exercises to like do a tumbling pass for gymnastics, I would like go on the side of the floor. So we'd line up in like a crisscross, like you see girls do from gymnastics. Like one would go and then the other would go and they'd kind of make like an X on the floor. So they weren't like running into each other. And I would be on like the sideline, just like practicing when my turn wasn't even like when I didn't even get my turn. So I would practice before my turn even came up. So I would like do these like cartwheels with no hands. It's called an aerial. And I would keep trying it and trying it and trying it. So by when I actually got to do my turn, it was like, I got it. So I would like try it. And then I would get it by the time my turn came up. So I would do like 10 extra tumbling passes compared to what these girls maybe were getting 2 in because they were waiting in line. I never waited. I just did it. You know, I wanted it before the other girls. So yes, that's kind of like the start of it all. Gymnastics was a cool point in my life. It taught me, a coach was crazy. I mean, she was just like very hard on us girls. If we didn't cheer for each other, we got like 1,000 push-ups, and that's not a joke. Like,
yikes.
I remember doing like 500 and my arms were falling off in practice and then one girl couldn't finish hers. So there she was like, split it between you guys and take it home and do it. And I was like, yeah, right. I'm not doing it at home. Frick. So yeah, anyway, so gymnastics was a very big learning point mentally. I was 9 to age 12 doing gymnastics, and it was a great point in my life because it taught me a lot of discipline. And then we moved to the farm. We moved to an area called Wauseon, Ohio, and I started high school there. And that's when I started elementary there. And then my dad decided to start raising cattle, and he basically, we started doing 4-H. I hated it, like I said, in the bodybuilding podcast. I hated it so much. Now I look back on it, I'm like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's just, it teaches you a lot, right? It teaches you like front, like brutal hard work, like you clean poop up, and it's just like, it's not stuff that any city kid would ever experience. Like it's just hard work.
You have to get up to feed your animals. You have to feed them at night. You have to write everything down. You have to run your business. That was the whole point, right?
Yeah. You have to walk them, make sure their hooves are tied or like, shaved down. You have to make sure they're fed 2-3 times. I think it was like 2 times a day. And
yeah.
there's a lot of stuff. so yeah, so that was we went there, and then I started track and field. I quit gymnastics because it was just it just started getting to the point where I felt like I was so nervous to go to practice that I was scared. So I was just like, I'm just not into it anymore. I love it. It was really hard for me to quit. It took me a few years to get over it as a kid. So at age 12, like I was like in love with gymnastics still, but I knew like it wasn't, I needed to stop because my coach was just.
Is that why you were scared?
Yeah, I just like went to practice and it was just always fearing like her. She was just like, she's pretty bad. But I mean, she also taught me so much, right? Like mentally, she instilled this like toughness in me. Like, so there's like two things. It's like, yeah, she was like a really terrible, like mean coach at points, but at the same time, she like grew me into this like mentally tough athlete. From like age 9 to 12, I got this like, I could always handle coaches. Like no coach scared me. And then also too, if you don't have fun as a coach now, I will totally rebel and like stop the sport. I am not going to do a sport that I am not loving and having fun and laughing at. Because if that's the whole purpose of doing a sport. It's not, you don't make money off this stuff. You don't go far with this stuff. Yeah, maybe people think you do, but let's say you get an Olympic medal. It's amazing. It's great. Is it really going to change your life? Like, is it going to bring millions and millions of dollars into your life so you can have like this beautiful mansion? It could. Usually for weightlifters, it's harder because the sport's so much smaller.
Right.
For gymnasts, it completely changes their life.
Yeah.
But in the sport that we're in, it's a little harder. But so she did definitely help me there in that aspect. But then I started track and field for like 6.5 years, got a scholarship there. Broke my foot skateboarding, so I stopped my scholarship. I actually planned on it anyway. It was just like a God-given thing. Like,
You planned on breaking your foot?
oh, you might as well. You're really going to be done now, Alyssa.
What were your events in track and field?
My events were 100-meter hurdles, 100-meter hurdles, long jump, 300-meter hurdles, and the 4x1.
Okay.
Yep. And I made the state. So actually that's how I got into weightlifting. And when I was younger, I started weightlifting for track and field to get better at it. The coach said that I had like this amazing, like unheard of confidence walking up to the barbell to like lift. And he said, you just like know you're good. He's like, and I was 15 years old. Like I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was just doing my thing. I just wanted to be good at track and field. And he was just like, you're so like aware of your body. You're so just good. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks. He's like, you want to do weightlifting? And I was like, no.
Do you think that a lot of that confidence came from just your skills that you had as a gymnast, like your body awareness that you had, and then also just
genetics?
Yeah. Nature and nurture.
I hate to say that because I know people are going to be like, it's not just genetics, but a lot of it is. Most of my parents, if like people like met my dad, he used to be able to jump over cars when he was little. He would jump on hoods of cars. He can still at 50 years old jump over fences. Yeah. Like for crying out loud, the guy has a vertical and he's powerful.
That's awesome.
If he did CrossFit, I know he would be like top in the world, like easily. Because he's just an overall good athlete. My mom was like a black belt in karate. She's very outspoken, very mentally tough. So that's where I get like my mental game from. My dad, I get more of my drive and my ability to stick with it and keep pushing it until it's 100% like perfect.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but
we know what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, no one's going to be perfect, but so
you are a mix. You're a mix of
my mom and dad.
No, I mean, just like a perfect athlete. You have the genetics, you have all the things that predispose you to be a good athlete or good at whatever you choose. And then, you put in the work, you have that effort. A lot of people have the genetics and the skills, but they don't put in the effort because they're like, well, I have the skills, I have the genetics, but it's the effort that makes the athlete.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. It's not just genetics, but I have really good, I was predisposed to very good genetics, but it's not just that at all. Like you can have great genetics and never, ever like succeed in anything you do sport wise or even school. Okay. You could be amazing and A+ student, and then you could completely come out of college with no job and like become a bum or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, there's the whole package, right? Like mentally, I would say I am more mentally strong than a lot of athletes I've met. I never put myself down, and I've seen so many athletes put themselves down.
Yeah.
Like, or question their abilities. And I don't do that. I noticed that over the years of being an athlete. I'm 30 years old now. Like, I'm not 20 anymore. Like, I don't just like, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to have fun. And I still would push it when I was 20, when I was 10. Heck, I mean, like I said, I would stand on the side of the floor and do routine passes. At home too, I would pull all the cushions off and I would do back tucks. I would land on my head so many times as a kid. But I'd get back up and I'd try it again until I got the skill. I used to stay in my pole barn, my dad's pole barn when we were on the farm. We had a huge like setup. We had like 5 rails for skateboarding, a box, and then 2 quarter pipes. I would stay in there for 7 hours after school and just skate and skate and skate. My dad would literally have to cut the electricity to the barn because he would be like, Alyssa. He'd call me on the phone because we had a phone for the barn. He'd be like, listen, you need, like, we didn't have cell phones, right? As kids, we did not have cell phones. So he'd call me like, get your beep in the house right now. He's like, it's school night. You cannot be out there that long. And I was like, okay, one more trick, Dad. I'm going to try to land it. He's like, no, now. If you're not in here in 10 minutes, I'm cutting the power. I was like, he won't do that. Next thing you know, I'm like riding up the half pipe or the quarter pipe and the power goes off. I'm coming. Oh Lord, where's the freaking rails? Where's the I went in there, ran in there so mad. I was like, I can't believe you cut the power. He's like, get to bed now. I was like, okay.
Well, that carries over. I mean, and in weightlifting, you can apply the same thing. Like, do you go home at the end of the day and work on the barbell? Like, do you hold a barbell in your living room and practice technique? Like, that's the carryover. It's doing the extra things outside of the gym.
I mean, it's like, yeah, definitely it's through my head, goes through my head every day. Every morning I wake up, I think about it. Like I said, the visualization piece on my Instagram.
Yes. I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something that it's instilled in me. I can't help it. Like, it's just natural. I love doing this stuff. I'm happy doing it. I think that it doesn't come hard for me because I like doing it. Once I lose the love for the sport, I will be done.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. I don't have to push myself to do this. I just like doing it.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit more about the visualization. I know you said like that's really huge for you. And you, I know you made an Instagram post where you talked about how you visualized what all your lifts would look like at Pan Ams. And I'm imagining that based on what you said, that's nothing new for you. I mean, it's like you probably visualize your training even.
Sure.
What's that? Just walk us through like what visualization is like for you.
So I would I don't know, I just go in the bedroom and lay down, and I caught myself without even trying, I just caught myself starting to think about my lifts, and then I would catch my body moving kind of.
Yeah.
And I would just think about it, and until literally I just started dozing off. I'd think about it so calmly that I would start getting in the pattern, almost like counting sheep, making the lift so many times that you start dozing off into a deep sleep. I would do that. I would just catch myself thinking about making the 83 and how it feel and exactly what I need to do entering. And I'd picture myself catching it and just smiling and standing it up exactly how it happened on stage, identical. Yeah, there'd be a few missed lifts when I would think and I'd be I missed it. And then I'd be no, that's not a choice. You're going to make it. It's not a choice to miss it. So I would keep picturing it, making it. I would have a few misses in there just because your brain would wander off and want to go to that spot. Like, but I wouldn't let it. I wouldn't like keep thinking about it and keep, oh my God, I thought about it once, so it's going to happen. Like, no, like get over yourself. Like it's just a thought. Everyone's going to have a bad thought. But if you like sit there and keep thinking about it and keep building on it and keep putting it in your mind, it's going to happen. You're going to miss the lift. But if you keep trying to cover it up, it's not going to be able to, like, if you try to cover it up with a good lift, then you're fine. You're just going to keep thinking about a good lift. Yeah. Same thing with like the 107 clean and jerk that I hit. I just kept visualizing it. I kept visualizing this like solid catch, like that would like just jolt me in the bottom. I'd catch it and I would stand it up. Yeah, it didn't. I like caught it way better than I visualized. That was really solid. Like in the 107, the stand up was way easier, but like the catch that I imagined was a little different, a little harder.
Yep.
Say. So the catch at the competition was a lot easier. But yeah, the visualization piece, I just think too many people get in their heads, and in this sport, you can't get in your head. If you get in your head, you might as well just go home because you've already lost the competition.
Yeah. For sure. Did anyone tell you to visualize your lifts, or is that just something you just naturally do on your own?
Just did.
Yeah, it just started happening. Yeah, I got you. I was just reading a book, and I might get some of these facts wrong, so take this with a grain of salt, but I was just reading a book, and they were talking about visualization in athletes, and they did a study, and I think it like dates way back to like the 86 Olympics.
What's the book called?
It's Mental Edge.
Oh, I think Edge.
Mm-hmm. And he was talking about some of the studies about visualization, and they looked at athletes that went to Olympic trials, and I think it might have been all Olympic athletes. I don't know that it was a specific sport in general, or specifically, but more in general for the athletes, that they looked at who went to Olympic trials and then who made it to the Olympics from the trials, and they found that of the people who made it to the Olympics, like 86%, I think, of those athletes all just visualize their training and their competition, and a really high percentage of the athletes that didn't make it.
Because they have to, or because they did on their own?
Just do. Yeah, they just do. Mm-hmm.
That's how you find the greatest athletes. Have you seen the I think it's called like The Greatest Athletes. It just is a movie, and it has like Jerry Rice in it, Gretzky. Have you guys seen it?
Mm-mm. I've heard of it.
I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched it flying back from Pan Am's, and it's just like, it hit me so hard because I was like, oh my God, I am this person. Like, I see myself in these men. Like, I was like, I am Gretzky. I am Jerry Rice. Like, this is me. I don't know who the other guy was, but I had related to him. He was like a football player from another country, but I don't know like I don't know his name, but he was, I think he was Nigerian. But they were just, the words that came out of their mouth were just incredible. Like Gretzky's like saying how he's never forced to go any place by his parents. He never was forced to like a sport. He never was taken to all these practices and all these extra training courses to be good at a sport. He just did it because he was happy doing it. Mm-hmm. He practiced extra because he was happy practicing with the puck. It's just the same with me. Like, it's just, I don't go to the gym thinking I have to go to the gym. I go to the gym because I love to go to the gym. When weightlifting's all said and done, if it ended tomorrow, I would be fine just going to the gym and just lifting weights. I probably wouldn't train super hard like I am because it just wouldn't be, but I would be very competitive still. I can't even stop being competitive. It's like crazy. Everything I do, from board games to eating to everything, I'm like super competitive. And I'm always like, God, why am I so competitive?
Well, it's because you're going to be an Olympian. Like, I don't see how that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's out of my control, but
Yeah, it's definitely, we definitely made a huge staple with this competition. Huge
Yes, you
staple.
have.
Me and Jordan De La Cruz are sitting pretty right now. We're both 2 points. I'm 2 points behind Jordan, and Jordan's 804 Robies, and I'm 802. So, but then the next girl I think is like 730. So it's like, yeah, we're pretty high up there right now. But, we still got so many more meets. We still have Worlds and Pan Am's next year. So just depends on, I mean, if you can do really good if this year's Worlds, like really good, we can put up a few more kilos in the total. I think we'll be sitting pretty.
So for our listeners who don't understand the selection for how you get selected to be represent the United States for the Olympics, how does this work?
What's the basics?
Yeah, the basics are pretty simple. I can kind of explain it, and I hope I'm explaining it right. Geez, because I feel like it just keeps changing, man.
Yeah.
They just keep telling us these things, and it's like, never mind, like it's changing now. And we're all like, guys, like,
Great.
Yeah, seriously, it's like, I guess whatever. At the end of the day, who knows? They could even just pick you. So it just depends on how good you are in the world. Okay, so think of the world as your competition. You're going to be like, if I go to Worlds and I would place a medal, if I got a medal, if I was first, second, or third, and no other girl got a medal, I would be first ranked to be picked for the Olympics, because I have really shown that I can get the amount of put the amount of Roby points up to get a medal and hang with these girls in the world internationally. Roby points are basically the bigger your snatch plus clean and jerk, which is your total, is, the more Roby points you get. Roby points are based off the world records. So the higher your world records go in your weight class, the less Roby points you get, unless you're really close to that world record. So like,
or if you set the world record,
or if you set the world record in the standard, you're going to the Olympics. There's no doubt. So yeah, that would be insane. Not out of reach though. Yeah, very, very not out of reach. So the Roby points are based off of world records that these other girls are putting up. Mostly my age, weight class, it's China. China has a 116 kilo clean and jerk and a 93, I believe, kilo snatch. And my numbers, Robies, are based off them. So they have like thousands of Roby points, and I have like 800. So that's kind of like how it goes. So then once you get and accumulate the person from the country, because we get like 3 to 4 spots, because we haven't had any like doping violations. And we're proving to the IWF, which is the International Weightlifting Federation, that we are a very good team. We deserve spots at the Olympics. So I believe we'll get 4, to be honest. I'm hopeful we'll get 4.
4 men and women, or just 4 total?
4 women, sorry. I think 2 men, maybe, but I think our women are just more competitive.
They're killing it.
We are. We're a really good girls team. I mean, we're super good. This is the best Pan Ams. This is the best international meet we've ever had as a team. Nobody bombed out. And we had 6, I think we had 20 some gold medals.
Yeah, I mean, almost everyone that I was able to tune in to watch at least medaled.
If not,
it's insane.
Cool. Yeah.
Usually you get maybe 2 athletes that medal, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. This time it's like we just couldn't stop, and it's because they're testing these women, and they're getting off these drugs, and they're being like, I would rather compete. Like, these girls are saying this, I would rather probably compete than get a 4-year ban. Okay, so I have to actually compete clean.
Yeah.
Like, I actually have to lift weights to get stronger. I can't just put medicine in me, or steroids in me. Yeah. So it's like, medicine, magic medicine. I mean, it would be nice if it was that easy, right? Yeah, Lord. But so they're testing these girls, and their numbers have gone down significantly. I mean, there was one girl in Turkmenistan, she freaking put up 100 as a 45 kilo weightlifter. She put up 104 clean and jerk, and I want to say a 90 kilo snatch or something like that. Something like maybe less, maybe like 85 or 88. She couldn't even clean and jerk the year before as a 48, 93 kilos.
Oh my gosh.
You don't just all of a sudden magically go get, 10 pounds smaller and clean and jerk 10 kilos more.
Especially not at that level, not at the level that you guys are at.
You guys are fighting for like 1 or 2 kilos.
Yeah, we're like happy if we're like our snatch goes like 1 kilo. And that's the cool thing is like with this new weight class change, 1 kilo more added so many more kilos onto the total. And learning how to weight cut better has added more kilos onto my total as well. So it's been pretty amazing. But yeah, so the Robies, so you kind of get that like with the Robie points. It's but then we have 6 meets we have to do. If you make all 4 gold meets, golds are worth the most points. They're 1.1% times the amount of Roby points you get. So they're 110%.
And which meets are those?
That's like Worlds, Pan Am's, Pan Am Games, the one we just went to, Worlds last year, Worlds this year, and then Pan Am Championships again next year. Yeah. So if you make all 4 teams, you're pretty much in the top. You're in the top for the women. But you also have to perform. So you have to perform your best at all these meets. So one girl has a slip up, it's pretty much
that's it.
It's hard to get it back. It really is. So you have to be very ready. So that's kind of like what it is. Each meet, there's gold, silver, bronze. Gold's the most, silver's, and then bronze. Bronze are worth nothing. You don't even have to like compete at them. You just weigh in and go home. You don't even have to weigh in at like your body weight. It's pointless. I don't know.
What meets are those?
What's up?
What meets are the bronze meets?
Like the Las Vegas one that I just went to. Remember that one? It was like in Las Vegas, and they said it was like a qualifier for.
Yeah, what was that? It was a new thing too, wasn't it? It was like a new type of meet.
Yeah, so it was like I think it was it was a junior level meet. So we got to see all like the junior level lifters there and then the Pan Ams. So yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Well, so you mentioned something about nutrition and weight cuts and all of that, and you had talked on your Instagram, and it really caught our attention because I think not enough people are talking about this, and I was just so excited to see someone with such a big platform talk about the fact that what you have had to go through to continue to lift as a 49 kilo lifter, and being in a caloric deficit you mentioned on Instagram that you had been in a caloric deficit for like 2 years, and that you like just lost your mind. We're like, I have to eat more food. If I can't eat more food, I'm not doing this. Like I'm done. Talk to us about, what it was like. Were you really in a caloric deficit for 2 years?
Oh yeah. I was eating like 1,100 calories.
Okay, so I follow your YouTube, and this was, I think it was a year ago or something, and you were talking about you were cutting, and you were like, I get this much fat, and it was like 4 grams of fat for the whole.
Oh. So RP does, they add in your fat. So your fat is already accounted for in your meat. So that's the thing. People that like rip on it, it's like, okay, you got to remember, like they're not counting for the fat in your meat. You eat 90-10 meat all the time, 90% lean and 10% fat. So you are getting fat. So like each serving of fat I'm getting is like 11 in my meat every meal.
Okay.
Yes. So then the added meat the added fat I'm getting is very low, especially when I'm cutting weight. So, and especially when I was 48, I mean, it was very hard to say that. That was not realistic for me, but I did it because I knew I could make international teams.
Yeah. So you were eating 1,100 calories. How did you perform on that? How did you feel?
Fine. I mean, I didn't feel fine, but I like made myself feel fine. Like I was always angry. Like poor boyfriend. Like he's like, as soon as I switched to the 49 template, I was just like, woohoo, my life is great. And the funny thing is when I was 48, I was eating a lot like worse foods. So like I would get these cravings because I was still hungry. Yeah. So what women don't understand and what men don't understand is that when you have a craving, you're probably not eating enough. Yes. Like you're probably not eating enough healthy, dense very calorically good, like good foods for yourself.
Yeah. Your body is screaming for something. It just doesn't know what. And it usually wants sweet or savory because those are like simple things for you to get.
Yeah, because in America, we have taught ourselves that that is the kind of stuff is a snack.
Yeah.
Like a snack is a little Debbie, or a snack is a fruit snack, or a snack is a freaking, like just something that's not a snack.
Yeah.
What you need to be doing is like realizing, like, am I getting enough protein? Okay, great. As long as my protein is set to my, my body weight, then all the other calories can go around that. And then you want to look at like how much fat you're getting per day, and then how many carbs are you getting, like how hard are you training, how, you know what I mean, like things like that.
Are you structuring your carbs around training? Are you doing all the things to make sure? Yeah
But just like I can't stand it when a female is like, oh, I just ate it's like, what'd you eat for lunch? It's like, yeah, I'm fine, like I ate a yogurt and some peanut butter and blueberries and I'm fine. I'm like, would you eat real food? Like, I know yogurt is real food, like it has protein and stuff, but I'm like, dude, you would be a lot leaner and you'd be more like you'd probably, your personality would be a little more bubbly because you'd actually give your brain actual real protein, like substance, not like the powder stuff or the stuff from, like, yogurt's great and everything, going to bed, that's fine. But like for 4 meals.
Right. Like eat real food and don't snack, like eat a meal.
Yeah, like eat the right. It's just about calories in, calories out, right? Like, I mean, protein is just like very satiating. I find that if I don't have the ample amount of protein I need for a day, I am going crazy. I also really like fats next. Fats are probably my most, I have to get a good fat. Like we're talking like, I can't even do butter anymore, oil. Like it's just not satisfying for me. It's not dense enough. So I like doing like egg yolk or avocado or what else do I like to do? Egg yolk, peanut butter.
I was going to say, is peanut butter in there? Because that's a good one.
Yeah, peanut butter's in there. So like that's what I like to do. But that's what I like to stick to too during my weight cuts as well. Like more dense foods. I mean, it's really not that hard. Just freaking eat some food and be happy. Like you don't need, like a 6-pack is just unrealistic for me. Like it's just not going to happen. And all these women want 6-packs. That's fine. But you want a 6-pack when you know you're going to be in a caloric deficit all the time, or you're not doing something you're supposed to be doing, like steroids or something. Like these women, they just don't have these 6-packs because they have them. No. Like you're either doing something or you're not eating enough, or you might have that perfect body where you just are genetically.
You just have abs like all the time.
Yeah, or you just like work out so hard all because I have a lot of elite level friends, and I know a lot of those elite level friends always talk about what they eat, and I'm like, that's it? How do you forget to eat? How did you forget to eat? That's a lie. You're lying to yourself. You don't want to eat because you want those abs to stay. That frustrates me.
Do you feel like that really hinders performance in people? Like if they're choosing 6-pack over food, it's hindering performance.
Yeah. I mean, I used to eat like crap when I was doing CrossFit, like crap. I would just I would choose the crappiest foods. I'd eat Oreos all the time, like literally like Oreos after breakfast, after dinner. Like I would choose burger and baked beans from the can, green beans I was very Midwestern. Like that's how I was raised. So I didn't know. I would just choose like the worst foods that were just like not the worst. Just what
it's just it's like when people come to us and they lay out what they eat in a day and you're like, how are you eating that? Like, it's so shitty. And like, well, that's all I know. And then you realize it's just like a lack of education.
It's just a lack. Yeah, absolutely. Like we're taught in school that like, chocolate milk is good. It's like, it is good, but like, are you serious? Good. Like it tastes real good, but like, are these kids going through like I know kids need a lot more carbs because they're in their growing stage, but what
about like rice and
like, how about water?
Yeah.
How about we learn how to hydrate these kids? Because when we get older, everyone's like, I just don't understand how much water to drink every day. Like, how about we like teach them? Like, maybe we should teach them how to invest their money and like how to invest their time in cooking. And,
We are going to solve the world's problems.
yeah, we're going to solve it right now, right here. You know, someone's going to hear us eventually and they're going to be like, these girls are geniuses.
Yeah. Well, you talked about the cravings things, and we just had, I love your mason jar. That's, you haven't, all for mason jars. We just had a podcast where we talked about intuitive eating and cravings, and how cravings does not equal binge, and how if you're having crazy cravings, just like you said, it means you're probably underfed, or you're missing some type of micronutrient, or you aren't drinking enough freaking water.
Yep, it's so true. It's so true. Yesterday I had like just a craving. You probably saw my story with Cold Stone, which is fine.
It's fine. You got to live in balance a little bit.
Yeah, you have to have balance. You have to cheat. You have to have your sweets. Like, we're all human, man. Mm-hmm. We all like our crap, which is fine. But at the same time, if you want to perform and look your best, then you have to make sacrifices. That's it. But yeah, you're talking about cravings that yesterday I had I didn't have a lot of vegetables.
Yep.
I actually had no vegetables yesterday, to be in all honesty on this podcast. I had no vegetables. I had the normal amount of protein. I probably had a little low in carbs, but my vegetables was what was missing. And I had this huge craving when I got home. And I just pulled that cake out of the freezer and just started eating it. And I was like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? So I closed it after probably half a piece. And I was like, it didn't even taste good. Yeah. It was just there. And it was just, I was eating it. I was like, this doesn't even taste good. So that's when I put it away. And then I made eggs and peanut butter and jelly toast. And after I got done, my craving went down. But I still didn't have my vegetables, which I love. And so I was still craving. And then if my mind's in a craving state, especially after a weight cut and especially after performance like that, I freaking deserve it. So I went out and got Cold Stone because once again, I'm human and I do like my sweets. Okay. But yeah, if you don't eat enough, that is the 2 years that I was in that caloric deficit, a really bad one. Yeah, I craved everything every day. But realistically, all I was wanting more food. I didn't want bad food. Yeah, I know people don't like to categorize it, but it is bad food. It makes you feel like crap. I mean, if you feel like crap and you're on the couch and you feel like crap and you're going to the hospital and you're getting these scans done and you see your body's falling apart in the inside. Yeah. Then it's bad food, right? It's the same thing as a relationship. It might not be bad on the outside, but it's bad on the inside. Come on. So yeah, it's noticed myself as soon as I switched templates, which was just recently, right after Worlds, actually. It's right when I made that post. Cravings were gone. I had no cravings. I did not crave sugar. I had no trouble this entire weight cut, the 16 weeks of being good. I just didn't crave it.
We talk about this a lot, about how if you actually fuel yourself, and we preach it all the time, your cravings will go away. And also, we found that I have Oreos in the house still, but I eat enough every single day that even if I have an Oreo, it's not the same.
No.
I would have rather had fruit or
yes.
And yes, I'll have days that I want to eat Oreos and they taste fantastic and that's fine. But the majority of the time, it just doesn't do it for me.
No, it's just very empty. It's just you eat it and you're just that
was really sweet.
Yeah, people are wasn't that so good? And I'm it was okay. Yeah. Or no, it wasn't. There will be times where me and my boyfriend will go out to eat and we'll go out to eat after a weight cut. Mm-hmm. And I'll be I didn't like it this time. I thought it was kind of gross actually. And he's yeah, me too. And I was why? And we'll never go back. We usually eat at home most 99% of the time. We go out maybe once every 2 months. I probably go out more than him just because I like to, switch it up sometimes just because. But we also make killer food. So
Yeah, there's no point.
Totally. That's
Really no point.
my house is the same way. We make way better food than most of the restaurants that we go to. So it's like, why are we going to spend our money?
Yeah, for sure.
So I want you to walk us through your weight cut just a little bit. We touched on in the beginning that, like you should not weight cut unless there's a really, really, really good reason to weight cut. And I think that people look up to you and other lifters and they see you guys doing this stuff. And then they're like, oh, well, I should do that because like the best lifters in the world are doing this. So like, if I want to be good, I should do that. Right. Yeah. But it's really unpleasant. Like I just did a weight cut for a meet because I wanted to position myself to potentially lift at Worlds in a different weight class. I sit really low in my weight class. So I was like, well, let's see what happens. Let's weight cut for a local meet, use that to qualify and see how I feel. And I didn't like it. I'm probably not going to lift in that weight class at Worlds because it was not an enjoyable experience. And if I don't have to, I don't want to do it. But I want you to just kind of walk us through what a weight cut is like for you, and why you would not recommend it to someone who doesn't have to do it.
A weight cut is like not something, it's like the hardest part of my entire, like the hardest part of weightlifting. I usually start 6 weeks out, but I don't start cutting calories until like 4. Okay. So I sit pretty darn heavy now. I sit about 54 kilos, 53.5 to 54, even sometimes that might go up to 54.3.
And so then for a meet, you've got to cut all the way down to 49.
49. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I pretty much have this down to a science. I can't really tell you everything because I'm releasing an ebook about it.
Okay. Basics.
And I just want like people to buy it because it's going to be really good. It'll just basically get you through a weight cut. Like you sit at where you want to sit. But yeah. So like I would, cut down from 54.3. I was 54.3 6 weeks out from Pan Am's. I was about 53, about 4 weeks, the 53.7, 4 weeks out. 3 weeks out, I was probably around 52.5. And then 2 weeks out, I was like 52. Week and a half out, I was around 51.5. Mm-hmm. I finally hit it Friday before I left on Tuesday. So, and then from there, I just
water and spit.
No, I try to keep, it's kind of like a water load. I do a really big water load starting, 3 days out from competition. So if I compete on Friday, I start water on Tuesday. I cut water on Thursday. So, and 24 hour, was it 24 hours out? So if I'll stop water, not even anymore. I stop water later now. I'll stop water at, let's say 5 o'clock and I compete at 1, or I weigh in at 1 the next day. Mm-hmm. I'll cut it later. And then the later my weigh-ins are, the later I'll cut my water.
Yep.
And if you were to give it an experience rating, let's say 10 is the worst or 10 is the best, 1 is the worst. How is your experience in cutting weight that much?
I cut weight 6 times last year, and I think that's why you saw the same numbers from me constantly. So I think that my experience now cutting weight is a 10. That's why I win these competitions, I think, is because I'm so freaking good at...
You're good at doing it, but it's kind of an unpleasant experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, if you go on my YouTube page, I just posted a weight cut. I mean, you can watch me.
I will link that below for you listening. It's going to be in the description.
Cool. Yeah, it's like, that's me happy though. Like, if you would have, like, that was me because Max was there and he was making me laugh and I felt my best. This was my best weight cut. I guarantee it. I thought I kind of ruined it. After I ate, I felt really bad. I felt like I was going to pass out. I felt like my body was just in complete shock, like from drinking. Like I must have been pretty dehydrated and I was in shock. So I was like, oh my God, I ruined it. Like I freaking ruined it. And I stood on the table with my hands on the table and just standing over looking like I was like probably pale. And the doctor looked over at me and she's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm fine. And she's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. I'm fine. And I won't tell people that I'm not fine because that's just who I am, stubborn. So she, so weight cutting is for somebody that basically knows they're going to make an international team. I mean, you can do it if you want to make a national team, go ahead. But like, I wouldn't suggest cutting a lot of weight. It's very hard and it's very not enjoyable. It's something that you do if you know you're going to make, like, the reason I started cutting weight was because I knew I had potential to make international teams from the beginning. I had no doubt in my mind that would happen. So, so I knew right away that it was probably going to have to cut down to 48 when I was cutting to 48. And it would be it was hard. I'm not going to lie. I did it all wrong the first time too. All wrong. Like I think I starved myself for like 6 weeks and I was like, what is my problem? I was like, why would I do that? But I didn't know. Like I did it.
You don't know.
No, you don't know. So you have to like kind of mess up to like succeed. So now I know, like, I am so stubborn now to the point where like, if I know I have to start weight cutting, that's why I start 6 weeks out, because it takes me 2 weeks to get in the mindset to start cutting. So I'm always like, okay, listen, 6 weeks out, 2 weeks to get your mind straight, 4 weeks to actually like cut weight and drop body weight.
Yeah. Because it's such a mental shift. It's a shift from you're eating, no, I'm not going to say everything.
You're eating a lot more calories.
You're eating a lot more calories. You're
having cheat days.
And like not really caring too much, caring enough, but then you have to make that shift. And I think a lot of people who want to cut, whether it's for weight class or for health or whatever, that mental shift is really what gets them. They don't take the time to say, okay, I'm going to do this. It's going to be this number of weeks and we're going to get over it and then it'll be done. They wallow in self-pity. It's kind of like when you said the visualization, when you visualize a bad lift, you immediately replace it with a good lift. And a lot of people will stick on that bad lift and that carries over to their nutrition. You have a quote unquote bad day, a non-ideal day, and they stick on it and they're stuck.
And how well are they going to be able to recover after the weight cut? Are they going to be mentally like okay with going back and seeing their body bigger?
That's hard.
Because at first I had trouble with that. When I saw my body get a little bigger, I was like, ugh. And then I was like, dude, this is you. Like it or not, like this is who you are. Like you're like this small creature, but to me, I look bigger, you know?
Yeah.
But like I said, the 6-pack abs were there and then they're gone the next day. It's like immediately. And like in Pan Ams, I was like, I wanted them gone because I knew if I didn't have my belly back, my lift would be so much harder. Yeah. So I was just like drinking until my, like I felt big. I felt like it was sticking out. Yeah. So for me now, I don't care because it's just a part of the game. I never had an eating disorder and I never like thought I like wouldn't eat, you know what I mean? Because I wanted my body. I have a lot of trouble eating when I come home just because of the sake that my body is so used to little calories that it's hard to like feel like eat a lot of all like the meals that I was eating. That's a lot of food right when I get home. So I eat very little meals. And then I try to in every day get better. Like today I feel like I'm getting back to normal now. I'll probably be back to normal by this weekend with like the normal amount of calories that I normally intake. So
yeah, I can attest to that. That is a struggle. After my weight cut for my meet, the beginning of or middle last month, it took me a good probably 4 or 5 days, maybe a week to be able to eat the amount of calories that I should be eating. Cause you're just like your stomach shrinks and everything, your body changes. And now you have to like, you're asking it to all of a sudden be able to process all of this food that you're putting in it when it's not used to that.
Yeah. So you just got to take it slow. You got to recover. But it's like for most women, it's not the recovery as in like they need to get more food. It's like they don't want the food because they like the body. Yeah. And it's like, guys, like it's not realistic. And it's okay because you're beautiful. Like your personality is more beautiful than your body. Like,
and if you're an athlete,
personality, then you're sweet.
And if you look at your body as a vessel to lift, not just something to look good potentially on a stage.
Not at all to look good. It's not there to look.
It doesn't matter if it looks good. It matters if you can lift. As long as you're confident in who you are and your abilities, it doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah, if you want to look good, then you're in the wrong sport. You probably need to be doing fitness show, bodybuilding, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the sport for you. This is a sport about being strong, looking. Nobody looks a certain way.
Nope.
Everybody looks different. Sarah Robles looks very different from me. Maddie Rogers looks very different from me. You know, like Maddie Sasser looks different from me. Everyone looks different. Like we all have our, like, none of us have like super six packs. Like if you look at all the weightlifters, none of us have like a ingrained six pack.
Mm-mm. Well, no.
Yeah, like, but that's not our main purpose. Our main purpose is to get our legs big, get our bodies bigger, as big as they can get, muscular as they can get, to get more weight on the bar.
Mm-hmm. And if you're really concerned about how you look, you probably shouldn't be lifting because there's a good chance you'll pee on the platform and then you'll upset the internet.
Yeah, then you'll have a $500 fine to pay.
5,000.
Oh, it's 5,000 now? Wow. Dang,
Yeah.
But don't worry, you just need to stick a tampon there and it'll fix that.
the tampon would work. I laughed because I got done with that 107. I was like, dang, my 500, is it 5,000? I thought it was 500. Dang, that's expensive. I didn't even get that much coming home for being the champion. I got like 1,500. That's about it.
Well, it doesn't matter.
But we're rich, us athletes.
Yeah, that's right.
You have some expensive urine.
Yes. If I could sell it, I would.
Oh, that's so weird.
I know it was. The funny part is she's on the staff for USAW.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the, she's like on it. So like, it's not like she's just some random person. Like, I'm just like, don't you understand it? Like, don't you?
It's physiology.
Period too.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's fine. We'll let it go. Let dumb people be dumb people.
Yeah, it's all right. Whatever.
Well, I don't think we ever really got into like how you got into weightlifting, but if anyone is listening who wants to hear that, I think you covered it pretty well on the bodybuilding.com podcast. So you guys can go listen to how she got into from track and field into weightlifting, because I think they did a really good job on that. Thank you so much for being on today. We really, really appreciate it. And we think you shared some really insightful things about nutrition, and hopefully our audience will take it into consideration. Where can our audience find you? And you mentioned an ebook. I don't know if you have a date release for that.
I'm trying to wait till after Worlds, which is in September, just because I don't want the girls to steal my secrets. So
There you go. There you go.
I still have like Morgan King to compete against.
Yeah, you do.
You can't steal my stuff. No, we talked about it. She's like, I never do that. She's smart, smart girl. So I'm not going to release it probably till after Worlds, which is end of September, probably November.
Yeah, you missed the whole month, but that's good.
I did. I still need to eat lunch, okay?
Hey, I'm not judging you. I was stating fact.
Where can people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, Alyssa Ritchey 1. So it's my name and the number 1. And I also have a YouTube page. I guess it's just my name. Just look up Alyssa Ritchey and you can.
I'll put it in the description. You guys can just go find it. Thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Kick some ass.
Thank you. I will. I already have. So I
more.
need a break. Yes, more. More in when is it? September.
October. We don't know.
Yeah, October, some month. It's down the road.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.